friends, and welcome back to the Radiate Health and Wellness Podcast. This is Christine D. Ross. So, wow, this week has been such an emotional roller coaster for me. Just a whirlwind filled with reflection, celebration, and just profound loss. Life, in all its beauty and chaos, has a way of throwing us into these unexpected storms, doesn't it? The first week of October always stirs up a lot for me. It's both my husband's and my daughter's birthdays, a time for celebration, but it also marks the anniversary of another life-changing moment. Exactly 5 years ago today, on October 3rd, as I relaxed on just that beautiful Hawaiian beach, I received that shocking phone call revealing my cancer diagnosis. So today I had originally planned to share more about that journey, to reflect on how far I've come since that stormy chapter in my life. But as life tends to do, it brought another storm my way just a few days ago. One I was expecting to happen soon, yet I wasn't emotionally prepared for it. So over the weekend, I had to say goodbye to my sweet little Pixie dog. So now, for anyone who has ever loved and lost a pet, you know the depth of the heartache. And even if you're not a pet person, loss is something we all experience. Whether it's the loss of a loved one, the end of a relationship, or even the closing of a chapter in life, it all leaves us spinning. We're left to figure out how to move forward, to weather that storm while holding space for both grief and gratitude. So as I shared, Pixie's passing happened during a week when my emotions were already swirling. I had been preparing to reflect on my 5-year cancer anniversary, just a milestone that in itself is filled with just ups and downs. But my heart, despite everything, kept returning to my little Pixie. For over 12 years, I nurtured her. She was by my side through just many seasons of my life, just offering her quiet, loving presence no matter what I was facing. She was just always there for me. First thing in the morning when I woke up, she was just there waiting to come and greet me with my first little loves and kisses for the day. But even though I knew her time was near, with her, she had a just rapidly growing tumor, and the vet had told me the signs and what to watch for. But it didn't make saying goodbye any easier. So in today's episode, instead of diving into my cancer story as planned, I want to honor Pixie and reflect on what her passing has taught me about love, loss, and, well, navigating life storms. I'll also share a powerful tool that helped me find peace during and after passing. Something I hope will resonate with anyone facing loss or difficult transitions. And as I've learned through this experience, communicating our wishes with those we love is one of the most important acts of love we can offer. This isn't just about saying goodbye, but about making sure those we leave behind are taken care of with clarity and grace. As I reflect on this emotional week, I realize that even in the midst of profound loss, we can find moments of peace. And that's what I experienced during Pixie's just final hours and moments. That last day was difficult, but in some ways, it was also peaceful. The first half of the day was like any other. Pixie ate her breakfast, enjoyed her lunch, and went about her usual doggy routine. But early in the evening, her health just declined rapidly. As I witnessed the first sign of her shutting down, I knew the moment I had been dreading had arrived. I held her in my arms just for hours, trying to comfort her as best as I could. Just grateful to able to be with her during this transition. In those moments, I found myself turning to a practice I shared on last week's episode, Ho'oponopono, the Hawaiian practice of reconciliation and forgiveness. So for the past few weeks, I've committed myself to practicing Ho'oponopono daily for 21 days. But I never imagined how deeply it would resonate during such a raw experience as this death. As I held Pixie, I leaned into the practice, just repeating in my mind the 4 simple yet powerful phrases of Ho'oponopono. I love you. Please forgive me. Thank you. I am sorry. As I sat there holding Pixie, I thought about how we often don't get the chance to say everything we'd like to when someone or something we love is about to leave. So even in those final hours, she was teaching me. I had this realization that if Pixie could talk, I would have wanted her to tell me her thoughts, her wishes, how she wanted her transition to go. And it made me think about how, as humans, we often avoid this tough conversations about the end of life, whether it's our own or somebody else's. Wouldn't it be such a gift if we took the time to share our wishes with the people we love? Would we want to be surrounded by family or quietly left to surrender in peace? What do you want done with your body afterward? What about our home and all of our possessions and things? So as I just cradled Pixie in my arms, repeating the 4 phrases over and over again. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I loved Pixie for being the beautiful soul she was, for the joy and unconditional love she brought into my life. But I also took the responsibility for the pain and the discomfort she experienced. Things that were part of her world because they were part of mine. The fireworks, the thunderstorms, and moments of anxiety that gripped her little body were things I could not always control. But I recognized my role in those experiences. As Dr. Hu Lin and Joe Vitale have taught, taking responsibility doesn't mean assigning blame or guilt to ourselves for everything that happens. Instead, it's about recognizing that we are connected to our environments and the emotions and experiences within us influence the world around us. In those moments with Pixie, I wasn't blaming myself for her suffering, but I was acknowledging that her fears and discomfort were part of the life we shared. And through Ho'oponopono, I was offering a kind of emotional cleaning, a way of clearing the energy and just creating healing and peace. So as I cradled her and said, I love you, I meant it with all of my heart, not just for who she was, but for everything she had brought into my life. I apologized for the times that I couldn't protect her from the things that frightened her the most, like the fireworks and the thunderstorms and the anxieties, the times that I would just find her just shaking and didn't know what to do. I asked for her forgiveness, not because I had caused her pain, but because I was connected to it. And I thanked her for all the joy, the memories, and companionship she has given me over these last 12 almost 13 years. Knowing that these words brought comfort to both of us as we faced her final moments together. And in those final hours, I couldn't help but wonder if the power of Ho'oponopono had helped create the peacefulness that surrounded us. Was this practice of love and forgiveness, gratitude, and taking responsibility the reason why Pixie's passing felt so gentle, filled with a just quiet serenity instead of pain? So, for those unfamiliar with Ho'oponopono, it's a Hawaiian healing practice that emphasizes taking full responsibility for everything in our lives. As I've learned, this doesn't mean blaming ourselves for things we can't control. It's about recognizing that our inner world influences our outer experiences. And by taking responsibility for our thoughts, our emotions, and our perceptions, we can clean the emotional and energetic clutter within us, allowing for healing to occur both in ourselves and others. In Pixie's case, I used Ho'oponopono to take responsibility for the emotions I was feeling for myself, as well as what I imagined Pixie was going through. The sadness, the pain, discomfort, and fear. I wasn't trying to change the inevitable, but by acknowledging these emotions and processing them with love and forgiveness, I found peace. Repeating those 4 simple phrases became my way of both healing myself and creating a space of calmness for Pixie. Ho'oponopono teaches that by doing this inner work, we not only heal ourselves, but also create healing energy for others. It's a deeply personal and transformative practice, and I truly believe it assisted in creating a sense of calm and comfort in Pixie's final moments. It's a simple yet profound tool that I found not just for navigating loss, but for processing life storms. Those moments that challenge us deeply, whether it's losing a loved one, facing uncertainty, or healing just emotional wounds. Ho'oponopono assists us in healing our relationships with others, with ourselves, and with the world around us. It gives us the opportunity to let go of guilt, regret, or unspoken pain, and in return, invite love, forgiveness, and peace into our hearts and the world. So, in the quiet of Pixie's final moments, I found the power in not only these words, but also in the conversations we never had. Now, of course, Pixie, she's a dog. She can't talk, speak words at least. But she taught me the value of communication just through her presence. In the end, she needed me to say goodbye, to leave her alone, and just to let her go. And as hard as that was, there was just peace in honoring her journey, in trusting the timing, telling her good night one more time, saying my final goodbye, and leaving her side, just allowing her to snore away into a deep sleep, let her go, and slip away on her own terms. Oh, it's a reminder for all of us to have those conversations with our loved ones while we can. Whether it's a parent, a partner, or a sibling, it's so important to talk about how we would like our final moments to go. Do we want to be surrounded by loved ones or left alone to find peace on our own terms. These are not easy discussions, but they are gifts that can bring clarity and comfort when the time comes. It's not just about our last moments or the last words we want to say. It's about ensuring that those we care about know how we want to be cared for, just remembered and laid to rest. This goes beyond conversations. It includes writing a will or creating a trust that clearly explains our wishes. So, going through this experience with Pixie has made me realize the undeniable reality that I will face even more difficult times ahead. Losing a beloved pet is heart wrenching, but I know that the day will come when I'll have to say goodbye to my parents and other loved ones. The thought of that is overwhelming, but I hope that by learning and practicing tools like Ho'oponopono, I'll be better prepared to navigate heartache and loss. I know it won't make it easy peasy, but maybe it will help me process the grief with just a little bit more peace, just as it did with Pixie. And by sharing this experience, my hope is that it brings comfort and insight to those of you who are going through or will go through similar losses, whether it's the passing of a pet, a loved one, or even the end of a cherished chapter in life. I hope these tools can offer you some of the peace that they've brought me. Loss is inevitable, but how we navigate that storm, how we let ourselves grieve and heal can make all the difference. These lessons feel like a way to lay a stronger emotional foundation for the uninvitable storms to come. The morning after Pixie passed, it was just so difficult to wrap her up, open a grave in the earth, and lay her to rest. That process was just hard enough. And it made me think about how much more challenging it would be to make those type of decisions for a person I love. All while grieving their loss, it would be an incredible burden to try to guess what somebody would want, especially when your heart is already breaking. So, by communicating your wishes clearly through a conversation and a legal document like a will or a trust, you're showing love and respect for those who will carry out those wishes. It's a final act of kindness, relieving your loved ones of the burden of making difficult decisions in a time of grief. It allows them the space to focus on honoring you, your memory, rather than being weighed down by uncertainty. It's a hard conversation to have, but it's one of the most loving and responsible things we can all do for our loved ones and our families. It's about respecting our lives and our legacies enough to make those wishes known. And whether it's discussing how we'd want our final moments to go or setting up a will to ensure our loved ones don't have to carry the weight alone of what to do with their things, these conversations are gifts that allow for a smoother transition when the time comes. So I know this topic might feel heavy, but I think it's one that touches every single one of us at some point in our lives, whether it's the loss of a pet, a loved one, or even the loss of a dream. The lessons are the same. Love fully, forgive deeply, and find grace in letting go. Just as the storms come and go in nature, so do the emotional storms in life: loss, change, and uncertainty. And just as the palm trees bend in the wind, allowing the storm to pass, we can find strength and flexibility, openness, and the grace of letting go. By having these important conversations, we're not only preparing for the storm, but we're also finding a way to stand strong through it. And so I encourage you to explore the practice of Ho'oponopono in your own life. And if you missed my last podcast where I explore this ancient Hawaiian practice more deeply, please tune into it, as well as the original Ho'oponopono prayer I recited along with the 4 phrases. So whether you're navigating grief, conflict, or simply looking for a way to bring more peace into your daily routine, this practice can be just a beautiful tool for healing, love, forgive, thank, and apologize, not just for others, but to yourself. So next week, I'll return to my original plan to share my cancer story, especially as I reflect on how the diagnosis 5 years ago forever changed my life. But this week, thank you, I got to focus on Pixie, on the lessons she taught me in her final moments, and on the peace that comes with love, forgiveness, and letting go. Much mahalo in joining me today as I grieved over my poor little puppy. And as I share my experience with Pixie and the lessons I've learned from this time of loss, my hope is that by sharing these things, it may bring comfort and insight to anyone going through similar challenges, helping you find peace in your own journey. Loss, whether it's the passing of a loved one or the closing of a chapter, is something we all face. But together, we can navigate these storms with love, forgiveness, and healing. And as always, if you know someone who might benefit from hearing this story, please share this podcast with them. You never know how far your ripple can go in offering hope and comfort to somebody in need. And of course, I would love to hear from you. Please feel free to reach out and share your experiences or reflections with me. You can contact me anytime at radiate.hw@gmail.com or on my website, radiatehealthandwellness.com, where you can also find other blog posts and recipes and information on my coaching. Or you can also contact me by simply leaving a comment below. So as we move forward together, remember, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. Until next time, love fully, forgive deeply, gracefully let go, and radiate health and wellness in all that you are.